Hey guys, this video is not the definitive Reaper guide or the only Reaper guide you need, since if I wanted to do that, it'd have to be 20-hour long video just like my Tracer course, but I think it's a great starting point for Reaper. And also, I didn't plan to release this video on YouTube when I recorded this, so I used some terminology from my previous lectures since this was for the Wizard Academy content, but I think it's still intuitive enough to understand, so enjoy the video, and if you'd like to learn more of these content, please check out the description. Hey everyone, this is Wizard, and today this is going to be the Reaper crash course. So we're gonna go over the basics of Reaper, and by the way, I've been fell in love with Reaper. I love Reaper. So I started playing DPS again about 4 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago, and I started like around platinum or low diamond-ish. I can't exactly remember, but now I'm Master 4, which I think is a pretty like okay progress in like 3 to 4 weeks. And in the last like 1 week or so, I've been busy with like making this course, so I was actually busy, so I couldn't even play that much. But the point is, I think Reaper is pretty amazing in this meta. So the reason I started playing Reaper of many heroes is that when I was making that meta report video with TopDragon, basically TopDragon was saying like, oh, the Reaper in this meta is like really good, and he obviously put like Cassidy as like the S tier, like the best character, but Reaper was pretty up there, like A tier. And I thought like I wouldn't be a really great Cassidy or Ash because I took a really long break from Overwatch, like 5 year long break. So there was a time when I was only coaching, not playing. And I only recently got back to playing Overwatch, right? So I know like my precision of the aim part is not really good, so I don't want to play like Widow or Cassidy or Ash. And yeah, so I wanted to play something that would get me there quicker and that would get me easier. And I thought Reaper would be pretty amazing. I was thinking about oh maybe Symmetra, but like that's a little too different from most of DPS, like how you would play. But Reaper, I think it's has a lot of the very fundamental aspect of typical flex DPS, like how you flank, how you take space, and the game plan is actually ridiculous simple. Because you just gotta get close. I mean, it sounds really simple, but that's kind of like good 80% of it. Of course, how you get close and when you get close and to whom you get close is actually a very difficult part, which we're gonna be learning today, right? So, the Reaper crash course, I think you will fall in love with it, and especially one of the things that we really have been trying really hard making these subscription based education content is that in our Tracer course, I think a lot of the high level students really loved it. Like especially like I'm top 50 or I'm like GM level player and I just love this course. There were a lot of students like that, but I mean, a lot of students did like our Tracer course, but even in like the like middle tier, like platinum, diamond, and they did improve quite a bit. But there are quite a bit of students who thought this is maybe a little too difficult. They have a hard time applying, so we really felt like there's a need to make it a little more approachable and yeah, accessible for all levels of player. And I think this still is amazing for a high level player, GM level player, because if you watch Dante's stream, Dante is like a really high level, like former Overwatch League player, as you know. He literally said, "Oh my God, Reaper's so OP," literally like a month ago, right? Reaper's just broken, and we're gonna go over actually some of his stream, some of his Reaper play, like about a month ago. And yeah, like we're gonna do the pro analysis on his Reaper play. So let's get into it. So let's talk about the basics of Reaper. So first thing that we need to do as Reaper, obviously we need to get close, the distancing, how to get close. So there are very obvious things here. Walk with the team, walk outside of their vision, TP, let them in, hide and hold space, and bait them into the corner or tiny room. So let me explain a little more. So to explain this, basically, let's say this is the enemy tank, and now this is your tank. Let's say usually when a fight starts, usually when let's say you start a Kaufman, it's like Antarctic. I don't know which Antarctic map it is. Like I've heard the name. This is not the T-shaped map, but usually they're not like standing out in the open. Literally, there's like usually a wall here. And what's gonna happen is their backline will be here, and your backline will be here, and the enemy team will most likely going to be looking at here where your tank is, right? So, and as a Reaper, the most basic way to get close there are two primary ways. Just walking out of their vision, and B is using TP. And we're gonna go over the details of it, but yeah. So basically, let's say this is the Antarctic map, and you just walk here and see if anybody is like available. There might be like Ash over here sometimes, and if she's like really close, and if she doesn't see you, you might get a kill. And if she sees you and you took some damage, maybe if you can get away with not using your shift and just backing, that's great. If you have to use your shift, not a big deal because you can just go back to your team. That's kind of like what the jab is, what the testing water is, right? I talked about testing importance of testing water and going for the jab, and like the golden BB style, right? So yeah, basically that's what it is. Simply, to really simply put. And for the TP, now you want to play a little bit to the side to start because if you're staying literally behind your team, the enemy team will see you TPing. So it's important that not only that you start your TP from a location where they cannot see you, and also end your TP location to where they cannot see you. So usually you'll see that a lot of the Reaper online to GM material that we're going to be watching today, they're going to be starting slight off angle a little bit to the side, either whether that's they are walking or they can be like just taking this angle, and then they would like to go kind of like a diagonal TP because this is somewhere the enemy team would usually not look at, and this is somewhere the enemy team would usually not look at, and from here you have usually a better LOS. So let's say you're TPing from here to here, or you're TPing from here to here. This is like more common, so more like a diagonal TP, okay? Because that's like the most common and easy way for you to play around the enemy vision, right? So those are the two primary ways to get close. And now the next part is going to be how to survive. But there's many ways that we're going to go over. But the key part, really just the key part that I want to emphasize is when you go for testing water, a lot of students, they go too deep. They TP too far away from the team. So the problem with that is, let's say this is this is your team, and if you play out of this circle, if you play too far away from this circle, then you cannot shift back to your team. From here, maybe you can contest your backline, but if you go past this, like the circle, if you go out of the circle, you might not be able to get back to your team with shift. So you might die like, as you're getting back to your team, you might die here, or you might die here. So if you TP too deep, you actually need to stay behind them, like a little tiny room that has a ceiling. And what you do is, if you play here, you're kind of baiting enemy into this small room, and which you're gonna be able to have a close range fight versus them. So that's one way to play, but this is very risky because you're not gonna get help, right? So I think a good rule for players masters and below, so probably like most students that are watching this, I think good 70% to 80% of the situation, you want to TP, you want to test water, you want to go for the jab, and then you want to be able to go back to your team, shift back to your team. Of course, if you can just walk here all the way back behind, then you can TP back to your team potentially. But I think usually the recommended play is we want to just play kind of like this a range where you can shift back to your team. That's like a safe way to play, and that's like the number one thing when it comes to how to survive. Okay, so we're gonna go over some of the materials. So let's start with this. So this is the one that we watched in our other DPS crash course, I think, right? So here, enemy team is looking at the main, and this is the out of the vision. This is the off vision side angle. So he's gonna be walking. So yeah, and then he is boom, 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 got super close, and he's forcing the Echo's ultimate, and now he's gonna shift out back to the team. Yeah, so this is a very clean process. This shows how to get close, abusing the vision, short off angle, walking to the side, and then walk outside of their vision, and then going back to your team with your shift. Okay, so that's something that we want to implement. Okay, and if you can do this like 70 or 80% of the times, and if you're going for enough of the jab, if you go for a lot of the testing water and going for the jab, then yeah, you're gonna see a lot of results because you are not only having good uptime, also you're distracting them a lot, and also Reaper is just kind of like broken sometimes. Like if you just get close, you even with my potato mechanic, even with WizardHyeong's mechanic, I'm literally 30 year old. I'm technically 29 in American age, but I'm 30 in Korean age. So basically, even with my very much like a boomer mechanic, and by the way, I was never a good mechanical player, even when I was like top 30, top 500 in Overwatch, right? So what I'm telling you is, even with my very potato mechanic, sometimes I killed 3 people even without using ultimate, and I don't think I can do that with maybe as Widow or Cassidy. You know what I mean? So yeah, I think this is a wonderful character that I love my lower range students to try. Okay, so this is a choice is me. Um, so the primary material that I studied, the Reaper, was Forgiving's Unranked to GM. He posted that about 2 to 3 weeks ago. So it's a very recent one, and this is a 4 month ago. So this is also pretty recent one. So I try to watch a lot of the recent ones, and there's combined there are more than 10 hours long material total. So that's amazing. That's really amazing, right? So um, basically, Choices Me is a little bit less stable playstyle. He doesn't care if he dies, and he goes for a lot of gambling. I mean, he's completely kind of like in a reasonable level, but he's a little more aggressive player. But he makes a lot of attempts. What we can learn really a lot from Choices Me, which I'm gonna do a pro analysis. I mean, he's not a professional player, but he's a champion player, so it's worth making a video on him, I think. But basically, he is really good at making a lot of attempts. So let's see his attempts. So they are looking at here. So the good thing, one thing that we want to keep in mind is that my team is over here. So it's less likely that if you're having like playing on a different angle from your team, it's very less likely that enemy team will be looking at you. Or it's less likely. So now he's just chilling and using this cover, and then now they're all looking at here, and his start position, he's TP start position um, is out of their vision, and his end position is also out of their vision. And my team is pushing, so they are going to be looking at here. This is a perfect timing too, because the enemy team is uh, backing, and his team is pushing. So out of the vision, amazing carry, right? So that's just a beautiful execution of manipulating the vision. And you want to really care a lot about your start location of the TP if they can see you. And one good way for you to hide your information, hide your TP location, is we talk about this in the TopDragon lecture, TopDragon's Reaper gameplay. But you, as you're TP, you jump back to the cover, jump behind the cover, so they cannot see you. Okay, so that's a very common one. I think beautifully executed. So this one is going to be just the hiding. So this is Circuit Royale, and he's just hiding here and waiting for them to come in. So this is defense. So one of the easiest way that you play defense is you just hold the line, and what I mean hold the line is that's not exactly a line, but like if there's a choke, you just hold a choke. That's basically Overwatch. And if this is the enemy, they need to come here, and if you just play here, that's amazing. And especially if your team is playing this angle, if you play the other angle, that's even better because you are taking care of one side, right? So formation wise, that's usually better. And if your team can LOS you, that's even better, which we're going to be seeing in like some other examples of the space pretty soon. But if you're on defense, you can just let them come by just holding this angle or holding this line. And if they see you, what do we do? Just you can shift back to your team. This is a very reasonable angle. He's within that circle where he can just go back to the team with the shift, right? So this is perfect. And boom, he gets a kill um, on that Genji, right? So next one. Okay, so this is actually interesting. So this is a very smart. I actually think Forgiving is actually pretty good. Um, so I don't exactly know what his peak rank is, but he seems to be a very good player. He's very smart. So basically he talks about this, but he knows that there's
We're
3
not there.
or 4 enemy team on point, and he's hiding
So,
here.
people on point, it's just not worth it.
Yep. So he was thinking, oh, there's like 3 or 4 people here. So even if I do go in, I'll be doing the 4v1 or 3v1. So that's not worth it. Very smart. Seeing those little indicators, amazing. And then boom, he sees the ash. What does that mean? Oh, there was a 3 or 4 people on the point like just 2 seconds ago, which means this ash is alone. So he gets the kill like this really perfectly, really amazing. So this is kind of like when you are on defense and when they need to push and when they're about to push, how you play Reaper. It's the easiest way probably to basically get close to the enemy team because they need to walk into you, right? So yeah. And this is interesting. So
Chill.
we're retaking,
Peek.
and my team is going to the left side. So the default again is you want to use a little different angle, and you want to test water. You want to go for the jab, out of their vision if it's possible. I mean, yeah, and this is a close enough angle from your team so you can crossfire them actually. And he's putting some work. I mean, even though my team just died, so yeah, that's basically the process that we want to go for. And he forced out the lamp, and then he also sees the Genji. And the reason I think he kills the Genji here is if he's actually with the team, it's less likely that he kills Genji because the Genji now doesn't know he's here, and also their BAP and their backline was distracted by the Reaper, so they cannot go help the Genji, right? So I think that was a great example of using a little different angle from your team and really going for that vision play. Okay, yeah. And this is him playing Junkertown, which is not the best map for Reaper probably, and he's just holding this corner and letting them in, and he's just using it as like a bunker. And if they're close, he can just peek them and shoot them. If not, he's gonna hide and he's gonna push when they get close. And if my team is doing something, and if not, just he's just gonna go back basically, right? So it's he's doing that the whole game basically, and this is a vision gap. So what I mean by vision gap is, so there's the Cassidy here, and there's the Juno and Zarya. So now Zarya and Juno is out of the vision. Slightly, there's a slight timing window they're not seeing him. So he's like using the timing to go for the TP. So it actually makes it slightly difficult for them to react to him, right? So and forcing out a lot of the cooldowns, and they do lose the fight, but I think that was a nice distraction, and also just going for that slight vision gap. Even if it's like very tiny, a small vision gap like that, you want to go for that, and you don't want to miss that out, right? So miss out on that. So that's really good example. So the next one is going to be, this is where his team is playing the main angle. Yeah. So and you can see like this is the main angle, and now he's going all a little bit over here, a little bit over here. Yeah. Walking, walking, walking.
Unless I can kill him off somehow in the sky, and Sombra can too.
Oh, there's a Mercy here. Hello. Yep.
With the same idea.
Yep. And then when they're looking at him, when he's low, shift back to the team, and then boom, 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 do a lot of main damage. So the reason that I recommend that this 70 to 80% just backing to the team with the shift is, instead of just going for the far TPing far back, is once you get back to your team, you can just use your tank distraction and shoot main damage. You're gonna have a less downtime. And while you're waiting for your TP, you put out some tank damage, and then you go for the backline, assassination style. Again, TopDragon talks about this in the TopDragon's Reaper gameplay analysis, but Reaper is not only for the shooting tank. We usually recommend going for more assassination play style, but we can also do a lot against their tank. So, and when you use your shift back to your team, and when you don't have your cooldown, that's a great time to optimize and just shoot their tank a little bit while you're waiting for your cooldown. Not using too much of your resources. So again, playing around your team, the benefit is that again, you're really saving your resources. You don't need to use a lot of resources. You can just play off of your team resources. Although you're probably going to be doing a little less distraction in most part. and you're not probably pushing your limit too much, but that's a great way to minimize the downtime, utilize the downtime that you have for not having the cooldown. So another thing that I want to talk about, which I mentioned in my DPS crash course, is that the backline frontline distance. So as a Reaper, again, let's say this is their tank, and let's say this is their support. If their support is playing super far back, you just probably want to shoot their frontline, their Genji, their tank. And if their supports and Cassidy's are playing all together, if they're far back, you just want to shoot their tank. And by shooting their tank, you can kind of like force them to walk in a little closer, because if the supports are playing further back, usually if you shoot the tank, they need to walk up a little closer, right? But if they're close, then you can go for the backline, obviously. And if that's the case, you are still going to be able to go back to your team after the shift, right? But the problem, not the problem, the one thing that to keep in mind is, if let's say this is their Juno, Brick, and this is their Juno, then in this case, even if you're risking of not being able to shift back to your team, you want to go for this because this is isolated, this is killable, this is alone, and the enemy tank or enemy like Brick would need to travel a little bit. It would take a little bit for them to help the Juno, because the Juno is pretty like isolated far back. So when you have this evidence, when you have this like green light, going for that long TP behind them is good, is a good thing to do. We should do that. So when you have a green light, but as a default, like 70 to 80% of times, if you're doing this all day, then you're going to be isolated. You're going to have a lot of downtime because you're not even coming back to your team, and you're not going to be doing a lot of tank damage. And the only option is to kind of like run away to this like a little choke area, and you're kind of like at this point you're kind of like gambling pretty much, right? So yeah, so I wouldn't recommend this as a default, but when there's a green light, obviously we want to go for these style. Okay, so seeing the backline and frontline distance, how far their backline is playing, and if there's a lot of backline playing together, you don't want to bother probably. And if there's one person just playing like isolated, like Ana healing alone, whatever, then you can go for that probably. Okay, so it depends a lot on what's available on the map, like seeing the actual green light. Okay, so it's not always about shoot the tank, shoot the backline. Yeah, if you just play that very much a binary style, you're not going to climb much because you're not reading the game and you're just gambling, right? So you got to read the game. Like if you play chess, and if somebody told you, oh, you play like A2, A5, A7, I don't know, chess, like whatever. So like if you play like here, then you're going to win. There's nothing like that, right? In Overwatch, there's nothing like that. There's no cheat code. So it's a lot about seeing what the opponent's doing, how the game is flowing, right? So, and the backline, frontline distance, and who's isolated is one of them, okay? And obviously if they're their Ana uses the sleep darts, or if they're low, if there's any green light, you going for that more aggressive TP, or when your team is engaging, like your tank is like pushing hard, then going for that would make sense, right? So it depends a lot on the green light. So yeah. And the next one, this is a Circuit Royale again. So he's waiting on defense, and he's being sneaky, trying to kill that Mercy. I think probably just going for the Widow would have been better, because in that range, yeah. But you see the idea. I mean, he's the champion player. I'm just the Master 4 player. But yeah, yeah. But you see the process. Like he is basically chilling, waiting for the opponent to come in, and he's being very sneaky. And just walking up close. So important thing is that a lot of our students would be like, oh, there's a Widowmaker, shoot. No, we don't want to do that. We want to get close enough and do damage when we can afford to, like this, right? I mean, if the fight is like happening a lot and if it's like super busy, then you want to just take the shot right away. But if you can afford the time, then you want to just get close a little bit, because once you shoot them, they know you're there and they can run away. Which decreases the chance of you killing them actually. So this is Dante. And yeah, so he's using the shift and back to the team, and boom, 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 main damage, and then going for the diagonal TP. So using the verticality TP, so Reaper's verticality is actually pretty good. So verticality is a one good way to manipulate their vision, which we talked about in the DPS crash course. I think there was always this jump pad example of the forgiving Reaper, but yeah, again, the Reapers, the one of the good way to manipulate the vision is the verticality. What Haxel does a lot as Genji, or what Huaryu does all day as Genji, is like they climbing the wall and then when the enemy team is not looking at them, right? So they're going for that. That's how the Genji is manipulating the vision, or Echo, pretty much the same, right? So he's really good at utilizing the verticality as that. I mean, Dante is really good at all flex DPS, so which makes sense, right? So he's going for that, and he forced out that shift, and my brick is finishing the target, right? So that's amazing. That's really good. Okay. So the two takeaway here is that the verticality plus when you're back to the team, you can just shoot their tank, utilizing downtime, doing some damage to them, and as you're doing that, you're kind of like looking for who is isolated. Oh, their Ashe is isolated. Okay, okay. Yeah, so this is a green light. So when you see someone is like isolated like this, then you want to go for the TP. Like that's the green light. Yeah, and that basically is a very much universal skill. The seeing the green light, who's isolated, who's low, is a universal skill, and you want to engage on them, whether you're playing Echo, Tracer, Genji, Venture, whatever, right? So it's same for the Reaper, right? So he's isolated, Ashe is isolated, and I can shift back to my team easily. So that was an amazing angle, amazing sequence. Okay, so the next one is going to be the no vision walk. And so soldier's looking at us. So you don't just want to walk into him right away. But now the soldier is actually hiding for a second. This small window is a great time for you to just get close. And now soldier's like, what? Why are you? Oh my god! Yeah. So this is I think this is like a high master tier, by the way, in EU. So yeah, that's basically you want to see. You want to get close when they're not looking at you. So vision matters a lot when it comes to closing the distance again. Okay. So now, moving on to the survival part. I mean, which we talked about a lot already. But so again, diagonal TP, because the my team is using this side, and he's playing a little bit slightly to the right side, and this is important. So we talked about slicing the pie, and right now there's a zero enemy on his screen. So which means they cannot see him. So when there's nobody who can see him, he's like doing the diagonal TP. So yeah, and boom, boom, boom. And yeah, he's just backing because they're all looking at him. My team is not pushing, and backing to the team. Very typical cycle, right? And he's not going too deep, and he's just backing to the team, right? And also, if you don't do this like the vision part, you're gonna die. Imagine you're literally TPing in front of the Cassidy or in front of the Hanzo who is like charging the shot. You're gonna die. So it's very key that you master this part. So as long as you master this part, the vision part, and there's no mastering, but like if you get better at this, and also as long as you're kind of like constantly shifting back to your team, yeah, it's the system would be carrying you to the higher rank, basically. If you're master or below, pretty much. Okay, it's a very simple process, and it's honestly the same for a lot of other DPS characters like Echo, Genji, whatever. But you see the idea, right? But this is how you do it as Reaper, and Reaper is so easy and so yeah, like Reaper is just so strong in close range, and as long as you get close easily, yeah, you can do a lot. So this is so now they're looking at him, looking at the main, because my team is playing the main side, like over here. So he's just walking. Oh, there's looking at him. So he's like backing to the team on the ground. And the good thing is, if you back to your team, now they are getting baited into this mine area. Or if you back to like if you go back to like a small, tiny room that has a ceiling, and in order to peek you, they need to come close to this corner, for example, then there's a very decent chance, even when you're losing, even when you're down resources, you can just like two-shot them in close range, right? So this is a very good way. Yeah. So
It's called now though, right?
and now this is
No, it's not
again
me, though.
Joker Town. But
So, it's not me. A Kiri ball.
yeah, he's fighting Kiriko,
It's fucking Kiri
and
ball
then
system.
he's just going back to the team, and going back to this like inside area where there's a mega. So this is like extremely safe, right? So, but he's testing water constantly. He's not like AFKing. He's constantly testing water, and being very safe. So this is a slicing pie. So when you're playing Reaper, slicing pie is very important. The only, not I wouldn't say only time, but you can basically to exaggerate a little bit. You basically want to see them. You basically want to have them on your screen when you're only close. Because if you're not close to them, you're gonna take damage. And we're gonna go through some examples. But so yeah, here. So their backline's over here, but by using this a little pillar, he's isolating their backline, and he's slicing the pie. So only exposed to this queen. That's what we want to do, basically. Okay. Yeah. So that's what we want to do as Reaper, because we don't want to take unnecessary long poke damage. And this is also slicing pie. He's only exposed to the Sigma with this TP. So yeah, he's gonna hide with this pillar, and he's only pretty much like exposed to this Sigma, and he actually pushed the Sigma back. He did a lot on the Sigma, and also the thing is, it was a great timing for him to engage because their queen was engaging. So the timing wise, it made sense because they are gonna be looking at my tank as well. So yeah, that was great. But now on the other hand, this is our regular student example. So if you watch this, so he actually goes for the vision TP. That's amazing, and somehow the Ashe doesn't even look at him again. So this is really great start. He made a good play. But now, I mean, I don't know why he's not reloading, but that's fine. But here, boom, boom, amazing, amazing, amazing. But oh, he's getting shot at from the back. All he needs to do is just to go here, get inside where he can play with the team and not be exposed to three different people. There are Tracers shooting him, there are Mortis shooting him, and maybe there are Lucius also shooting at him. So as long as he gets inside, it'll be just perfect. But for whatever reason, we're taking so much damage from them, and we're like, oh my god, and we lose this one. Oh, yeah. So, basically, we want to be able to not let them see us. We want to let them see us when we're only close to them. I mean, letting them kind of like see us, making an eye contact for like a half a second or like a second when we're scouting them is good. But this is like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, like 7 seconds of like highly exposed to 3 or 4 different people mid-range. Yeah. Okay. So, and we're gonna go through the some pro analysis, like I said. But if you watch Forgiving, if you watch Dante, if you watch good Reaper players, high level champion, then they a lot of times, kind of like what I said in the DPS crash course. How like how the Lip was doing in the Icon Vault, for example. There's a lot of times he has 0 enemy on the screen while he's just getting close. Yeah, he's exposuring himself enough to get the information, scout the enemy team, and he would finally peek them when he's close, when he's ready. Basically, that's what we want to do. Okay, and yeah, the same player, our student, and no, 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 no. Yeah, so this range, there's no way you are walking to this Cassidy. Maybe if your tank is literally in front of the Cassidy, or if your tank is like in front of you, like with the Ryan shield or Orisa shield, whatever. Not Orisa shield, like Orisa's in front of you, then that could be fine because you're with the team. But like alone like this, walking here, it's impossible. Like even proper, I don't think can like dodge this. Like you would have to be like some matrix shit. You know what I mean? So what we need to do is we just need to hide and maybe TP over here or TP like somewhere or just go like far right, go to this room where they cannot see you. So you don't want to just try to get close when they are seeing you. Okay. It's very simple, but I have to show this example because it's you. 70% of the students who are watching this, you're going to be playing like this. It's you. There can be some worse version of this, or there can be slightly better version of this, but this is you. I mean, this is me. I'm Master 4. I kind of play like this, you know? So, yeah. What is this one? Oh, sorry. Sometimes the Florida internet is not amazing. Okay. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. So here, um, the enemy team is looking at him, so he needs to hide and just get close over here. There's like a lot of area where they cannot see him on the left. You just need to see that as soon as they see you, right? So, yeah, it's a lot about how you need to be unseen. You need to be like unseen when as you're getting close, and you want to just finally uh, shoot them when you're close to them, right? But you want to be unseen when you're getting close. It's just a really simple concept, but you just gotta see the examples, right? And what's gonna be pretty difficult though, when you actually play this? I mean, it sounds really simple. You'll be like, oh my god, this is too easy. This sounds too easy. There's no way I cannot implement this, right? But in reality, it's actually more difficult because you have to actually read their vision. And if it was that easy, I'll be already Grandmaster, not Master 4, right? So, yeah, the point is, what's usually happening is let's say you peek them and you cannot just expect the damage. You cannot read the damage. For example, the most common one that I had was when they have a Cassidy, I just cannot register the flashbang and I get flashbang and I die. So you have to calculate the damage. Like what's like the key damage that I need to be careful with, and I need to either distance from them, like the flashbang is something that I need to distance from, and or break LOS and slice the pie against, okay? So those are going to be the key thing. And Dante just gets out perfectly, calculating damage. So yeah. And we talked about testing water a lot. So this is an example that we saw in the DPS Crash Course. So like just play hide and seek almost. Don't care. Okay, you see me, I'm going to be hiding. Okay, like or there's this something called 무궁화 꽃이 피었습니다. I don't know if any of you guys watch the Squid Game, but 무궁화 꽃이 피었습니다 is the Squid Game thing. Basically this one. So you're kind of like moving when they are not seeing you. And if they see you, you're gonna be like, you cannot be stopping there because if you stand still, they'll be trolling. But in Overwatch, you wanna be like hiding and maybe taking like a different angle, just hiding a little more. Yeah, but just don't force it. As long as you're going for a lot of jabs, you'll be fine. And again, we watch this, so if they are looking at you, you're gonna be like, okay, yeah. I mean, consider this as like a mini game. Okay, consider this as like a mini game. So just be cool about it. And then the next one is going to be the Dante again. So here, yep, he's going for testing water. They see him, so he's like, all right, all right, all right, back into the team again. Yeah, and he's trying to hold this space. Yeah, but and he I think goes for yeah. I mean now their team actually took the point, so he's pushing up. But basically, you don't want to force it, and if they look at you, just play safe. Yeah. Yeah. And he's again going for testing water, and when he's low, he's just backing to the team where he can get healed, and he has a clean cover. Yeah. So good example. And this is interesting. So again, choice is me. This player, his playstyle isn't very, I would say, stable. I mean, he's really good. He's a champion player. But if you watch this, so he's trying to go for this flank, the out of the vision TP, and he makes a lot of attempts. And he fails. He's like, all right, shit, all right, and then he's going for another TP when they're like looking at him distracted, but all right, they got me. Okay, he's respecting that. Yep. So that was his second try within like 20, 30 seconds or so, and he sees the soldier, okay, hiding, and going for another one. Yep. This is a third try in just a short amount of time. Yep, and it didn't work again, and he dies. So basically, if you watch the next fight, yeah, he's going for that TP again. Yeah, I think he TP to the top basically, and then like this is a very contested, so I'm just gonna be backing. He goes for a lot of playmaking. He goes for a lot of constant playmaking. Yep, and when it's a red light, he just respects that. And because he's going for a lot of playmaking, a lot of jabs, one of them will eventually hit. Yeah, he's like, oh, and he's just respecting that. And then now he's going for another walking to out of their vision, another angle. And yeah, he finally gets the value. And once you get this like close range, you can get a lot of value. Yeah, so he's going for a lot of jabs. Okay, the golden BB. Yeah, and we're gonna be wrapping this up, but basically, this is a forgiving seeing the Reaper, Moira shift, and Moira no shift, so this is very killable, and he gets the kill. So seeing this evidence, this is a very universal, and we watched this in our DPS crash course, but basically, he sees Anna's over here and Juno's over here. So he sees that Juno's isolated, so he goes for the Juno. So it's a green light. So and Juno runs away to my team, and Juno dies, for example, right? So seeing this green light, like who used the skill and like whatnot is going to be very important. So this game, the BAP is the weakness because of the composition, and he goes for the BAP and he's harassing the BAP. So knowing like which target to go for and knowing the green light, like who used the cooldown, which we're gonna be going over a little more in depth in the future, guys. I think, but basically he is really good at. I mean, he died here, but he's really good at seeing those evidences. And this is him hearing the sleep dart. Yeah, hearing the sleep dart, and because he heard the sleep dart, he's pushing. He's testing water. Because of the sleep dart, I can push my limit a little more. And then this is an angle where a distance where he can just shift back to his team safely. So there's like a very little risk, basically. Okay, so that's a constant cycle of that. So this is Dante holding space. So what I mean by holding space is Reaper's really good at holding space. This is like a semi-tank. So if you play, let's say if your team is holding main, if you play this angle, if you're covering another angle, where your team can LOS you, especially that's really great. So what's gonna happen is the enemy tracer or whoever isn't going to be able to use this angle for free, and usually they need to invest like 2 people to clear you out because Reaper in close corner is really strong. So now he's making them making like their Orisa, and 3 of them look at them, and because they're investing a lot, now he needs to back. But by doing so, he basically bought like 10 seconds by using the space, right? So that was amazing. So Reaper is really good, and again he's playing the other angle, the side angle from the team, and now the enemy team needs to look at him to clear him out. So he's like not giving this space for free and making them like work hard for it, and then when he's low enough, he backs the team. But it wasn't just free; he got a lot of value by doing so. Okay, and this one is going to be so again he's playing slightly different angle from his team, and where still relatively safe where he can back to the team, and this is gonna have a easier distraction, and also it contests the enemy team from having like a really good angle. Okay, and the last one is going to be like he sees the tracer on their team. He sees that they have a tracer on their team, and he's expecting the tracer to be here. Prediction. So this is a very universal one, not just a Reaper, but like I just want to show you that even as Reaper, or any DPS character, this kind of like a basic game sense, I say, the prediction part, it matters a lot. So now we got their Farah. So now the Mercy's gonna rest. So he's expecting. So he's trying to punish this Mercy. So seeing the green light, seeing the evidence, seeing the good prediction is going to be obviously the basic parts that are very universal for any hero that you play, and that also goes for Reaper. So I mean, I talked about the game plan for getting close and how to get close and playing around the vision and going for the vision. So the key part is that you want to test water, you want to go for the jab when where they cannot look at you, and you want to have a safe backup plan to 70 to 80% of the time where you can go back to your team. And if you go for that behind TP, then you want to use this like the behind angle. You just kind of have to, right? But yeah, so this is more risky play, but this is more stable play, right? And that will depend also on the composition, whatnot. But that's like a really good starting point for Reaper, and that helped me so much personally. And yeah, I think it's pretty straightforward, easy. But it looks really easy, but if you actually try this, it's not as easy as it seems. Okay, so give this a shot, and we're gonna be having more Reaper guys come in. We're gonna be having analysis of the unranked GM Reapers, and we're gonna be having analysis of Dante Reaper, the pro analysis. So yeah, again, discussing how to get close. Walking with the team is always an option because you can walk there for free. And when you are on defense, hiding or holding space, letting them in and baiting them into like a tiny room or into your area, into your territory, after shifting. And TP obviously is a good way to get close. And walking out of their vision is a really kind of like a default norm, as well as the TP, right? So slight off angle. And also the vision part. Yeah, short off angles, diagonal, and vision TP. You want to start where they cannot see you, even that's a slight vision gap, like a second or two, and you want to end your TP where they cannot look at you. And this relates a lot for killing and your survival as well. And timings, just like the spike video that I posted on my YouTube, if you time it with your team, it's going to make everything easier. And for how to survive, you want to slice the pie. You don't want to be that Ilios student that we saw. We want to be instantly hiding, and we want to be having one person at a time on our screen. I mean, if you're going for their entire backline, maybe you can, like when you're actually up closer in their face, you can maybe peek like 2 to 3 people for a short amount of time, but you get the idea, right? So, and cover, obviously, and using the inside map, and thinking if you want to go back to your team or retreat behind them, like if you want to stay behind them. So if it's too far of a TP, if you are deep into their territory, you cannot go back to your team. So by simply thinking about if you need to go back to your team or if you need to stay behind them preemptively, it's gonna help you a lot. And just by realizing that, oh, I'm too deep. If I'm doing this constantly, maybe I'm just gambling this game. That's gonna help you a lot. So, and also think how many mobility heroes like Wrecking Ball or Doomfist or Tracer that can chase you and punish you if you're behind them, basically. Okay, so I think that's a good one. And for alts, always do think about what they have. If they have Sleep Dart, if they have Sigma Rock, it's very universal for anything you play. So like do think about, oh, they might have a sleep dart to counter me or transcendence. So yeah, and again, TopDragon mentioned this, but you don't need to go for crazy kills, but just getting like a kill or two as Reaper, that'll be sufficient enough. So that's, I think, a great point to start as Reaper. That was our Reaper crash course, and you're gonna be learning more details in the student reviews and also pro analysis. So thanks for watching, and if you have any question, let us know.